Welcome back to Packs and Picks. I'm here with my very first sealed deck for the Grand Archive TCG. Over the past few days, I've opened 4 packs of Fractured Crown and 4 packs of Dawn of Ashes, the first 2 sets for Grand Archive. I broke down all the cards in the pool, so if you do want to see all of the cards in the pool sorted by their element types, go and check out the shorts feed where I posted all those shorts. Since this is my very first deck build for this trading card game, I do expect I'll be making some mistakes or misevaluations along the way. It is an exciting time though. It's really fun to see how new games operate differently than games that I'm used to. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know I'm most experienced with Magic the Gathering, so a lot of my card evaluations are going to be coming through that lens, but we'll see how it fares in Grand Archive compared to Magic. I'm excited to see how that changes. As for this deck build, I'm going to be following the guidelines for the draft format, so I'll be building a 30 card main deck, and my material deck will basically be whatever ends up in my material deck. There's kind of no limit on the material deck. I'm also going to be using the subset of cards that Weaves of the Shore, the publisher, released for their Fractured Crown sealed kit product. So these are some of the, or all of the basic champions, level 1, 2, and 3, as well as some generic cards that are just good in any draft deck or sealed deck. So with that being said, let's dive into it. The first thing I wanted to talk about was Prismatic Spirit and Gate of Alterity. So these are 2 of the cards from that supplemental product for sealed play. So Prismatic Spirit basically lets me choose 2 basic elements when I start the game, and then Gate of Alterity a little bit later will let me choose a second class for my champion. So with Prismatic Spirit, I was kind of going into deck building with thinking about basically what one of the 3 elements I wasn't going to play. So just trying to narrow down the 3 colors to 2 and go that direction. And then similarly with Gate of Alterity, with there being 4 classes for this set, just trying to figure out which 2 I didn't want to play, or which 2 didn't have as much support in the pool. So with that kind of lens, I went looking at the classes, and Lorraine was the first one that just didn't have a lot of warrior cards overall in the pool, or any warrior class bonuses. And then on top of that, her level 1 and her level 3 really care about regalia that are cheap, and I didn't have any regalia weapons that met her requirements for level 1 or level 3. So with that, with just the less support in the pool, it was kind of an easier choice for me to just exclude Lorraine from the deck building. I do like opening cut though, so next time I get to play warrior, I'm excited to try this card out. From there, I was looking at Rye. Rye did have some support in the pool, which I'll talk about towards the end. He cares about enlightened counters, with his level 3 caring about copying a mage spell. And in the pool, we did have good mage spells. I did put mage cards in my final build, but there wasn't anything that I could like really break the game with by copying. A lot of 2 damage, do 2 damage here or there with Rye. So he's not going to be my main champion, but I am going to supplement my deck with some mage cards. The champion I did go with is Xander. So there were some good preparation cards or prepare cards in the pool that I liked. I also liked just his ability at level 2 to get some extra bonuses for attacking rested units. So a lot of the other champions, it's like an on-enter ability that gets a once per turn, but Xander's is turn after turn, so I did like that with him. We also did get an assassin weapon for our material deck as well, in form of the Assassin's Ripper. And we did open a Tristan, which I'm going to include in my material deck. I'll play around with her and just see how she plays compared to Xander, if we've got enough preparation counters to really make her go off. But as an assassin, another assassin option, I'm including her in the material deck. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out the deck right now, and we'll take a look at all the cards that did make the cut. I did make a fire and water deck. Because that's what kind of spoke to me when looking at the pool. But we'll talk a little bit about the wind cards at the end. All right, just try to clean this up a bit. Okay, so the first few cards that I wanted to talk about are the fractals. So I've got a handful of fractals. I've got 4 in the main deck, and what I was going off of here is from other games. This to me looked like a mana rock, so something I can use turn after turn to help pay for my spells. And sealed usually is a slower game in other trading card games, so this seemed like it would be or in other formats that would be a good place to put some of your mana. So I'm really curious to see how these play out in Grand Archive, if that same payoff is there with something like these fractals. So maybe I went a little bit overboard on them, but I do like a good mana rock, so those are in the deck right now. Another card that, just from watching some other content on YouTube, Eager Page, this seemed like a great card for sealed, just because you're probably not going to be materializing cards every turn, so if we can get her out early, she's probably going to pay us dividends over the course of the game. And then as far as our prepare spells, so we do have a Thieving Cut. So I really like that Thieving Cut replaces itself on hit, so we don't lose that card. And then we also have an Ignited Stab, which is going to be another big attack for us using our preparation counters. And then another group of spells that I liked were Planet Explosive. It's another prepare spell, but it has some of that burn or interaction and reach out and kind of attack our opponent's allies. And then we had 2 copies of Freezing Hail, which do a really similar effect. And overall, I do have more spells and interaction than allies in the deck. So I am curious to see if I went a little overboard or if I need more allies. I've got 14 allies and 16 non-allies in the deck. So I could be overvaluing all the direct damage spells, but I'd be curious to hear some of your thoughts down in the comments. As far as the sideboard goes, I do have a Baruch Acolyte, so if our opponent has a really good 0-cost Regalia, we could target with that. And then I've got 2 more copies of Seeking Shot, just if our opponent is playing more human allies, then we could side this in and get some more value there. As far as the Wind and Tamer cards go, it's not that there wasn't anything that I didn't like out of Sylvie and the Wind cards. I do think you could definitely make a case for making like a Wind Mage or Wind Tamer Mage build here. It's just the direction I had to choose 2 colors at the end of the day, so Wind didn't make it, and Sylvie didn't make it either. Our one super rare though in the pool was Hymn of Gaia's Grace, so lets us glimpse and potentially get an animal or beast into play. We also had 4 ordinary bears in our pool, so perhaps there's something we can do that's a little busted with all that extra floating memory around if we are playing Tamer. And then just a couple good Tamer cards, or cards that I like the look of out of Wind, and then just some good creatures like Trained Hawk that I like the look of, Intrepid Spearman. And then in some of the mage spells as well, Summon Gale, 2 copies of Channel the Wind, and a Zephyr Assistant to add some more enlightened counters onto Rye. So that's where I think we could have gone like a Wind Mage and tried to leverage more of the enlightened counters on Rye. But that's really much the deck. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the deck and the pool, especially if there's any deck building traps or misconceptions that I'm falling into. I'd love to hear about that. And stay tuned, because I'm going to be building another deck in Fractured Crown. And as of right now, the 3rd set, Alchemical Revolution, is right around the corner, and you can expect to see me building decks in that set as well. I'll see you next time.